Hi, today we're discussing the business practices and structures of Hemoba, a Spanish-speaking country 150 miles off the coast of the Dominican Republic. Because Hemoba is a Spanish-speaking country, it has its own terms for the business structures, and for the sake of authenticity, I'm going to use those Spanish terms. However, because my audience is mainly English-speaking, I will make sure that I will give you a translation for each term I use. Let's get started. Hemoba is home to 92 naturally occurring industries, and these industries are all referred to as lamentes. Lamentes tend to have a 1 to 3 letter symbol on the stock exchange, and they all perform unique functions that can't be broken down much further. Lamentes are broken down into businesses. The businesses are called motas. Motas have a very unique organization structure. On the very top is the administration, which is called tropons, and in the middle are factory workers who are neurons, and at the very bottom there are transportation workers who are called clercions. Every mota has its own number of neurons. As long as that number of neurons doesn't get too high, that doesn't become that much of an issue. However, when that number does tend to get high, companies do decay. In Hemoba, the lamente a mota belongs to is determined by the number of tropons. It's just a unique system there. While neurons and tropons stay in HQ, clercions move in a radius around HQ to do their roles. However, because of this, it's said that in Hemoba that it's impossible to know exactly where a clercion is at any given time. In Hemoba, lamente are usually very specialized in the tasks they perform. Because of that, it's very rare for a lamente to create a finalized product on its own. Very often, lamente work together to create a better final product. Before we discuss how lamente work together, we have to understand clercions. Clercions are ranked by their autonomy. Usually, less autonomous clercions are closer to HQ, while more autonomous clercions are farther away from HQ. Clercions work in concentric rings around HQ. In the very center, this concentric ring usually only needs 2 clercions, whereas as it goes, and in the second concentric ring, they need 8 clercions, and so on and so forth. The concentric rings I just mentioned are called baritols. The clercions in the outermost baritol of most lamente are referred to as levense clercions, and these have a very important role when it comes to lamente working together. When two lamente work together, it's called a compoundon. Compundons are formed due to a very interesting idea. Every lamente wants to fill its outermost baritol. Compundons are formed when lamente take advantage of this to in some way fill their outermost baritol by using the other lamente's clercions. There's 2 ways in which a lamente can fill its outermost baritol through a compundon. The first way is a Locavent bond. In a Locavent bond, the clercions are shared between the lamente that are involved in the bond. When sharing clercions, there's 2 ways that very often the lamente share the clercions. One of the ways is called a low-par Locavent bond, and the other is a non-low-par Locavent bond. In a low-par Locavent bond, essentially the clercions are shared evenly, and both the lamente involved all get equal access to the clercions. In a non-low-par Locavent bond, the clercions aren't shared evenly, and one lamente has more access to clercions, gets more recognition and more attraction. Another way to fill the outermost baritol of lamente is through a Neuk bond. In Neuk bonds, clercions from one lamente are given to another lamente. When one lamente gives it up to another lamente, the lamente that loses a clercion is referred to as a neon, and the clercion that gains a clercion is called a chasion. Once the clercions are given up in a Neuk bond, very often the motas involved in the Neuk bond still work together and stay next to each other. Now that we're done describing the business structures inside of Hemoba, we can kind of talk about the business structures that link Hemoba to other countries. There's mainly two: the Druil-Hyen bonds and the van der Waal interactions. So the van der Waal interactions are the result of a van der Waal treaty from previous decades. Van der Waal interactions have to maximize surface area interaction just to maintain a connection between the two the two regions. Drog-Hyen bonds are the result of Lopar-Lokavet bonds on a large scale. What happens is these Lopar-Lokavet bonds create an attraction that attracts other countries' equivalent of that. And when those two bond, it's a very weak interaction, but it does last. When prevalent, it does have an impact.